Hi, welcome along to AFTV. Some more bad news on the injury front. Ben White is going to be out of action for Arsenal till at least 2025. Terrible news for Arsenal. Yet another injury to a key player. Now, Ben White, we know he's had some injury issues throughout this season. A guy that was a regular, absolute fixture in this Arsenal team last year, played literally every single game, has been having a real patchy season, you know what I mean? Hasn't played every game, has been missing. Now we hear that the problem is a knee problem. He seems to be having some problems within his joint, and he's undergone a minor operation, we're being told, not a major one, a minor operation to alleviate this problem, which is going to keep him out of action for at least 8 weeks. And of course, if you're out for 8 weeks, that takes you right up until the end of this year and slightly beyond. And that is it for Ben White in an Arsenal shirt. If these reports are fully true on the amount of time he's going to be out, that's it. And that is more bad news for Mikel Arteta. Just as he thought he was getting everybody back more or less to full fitness, Ben White, a big name, missing. Now, if you've been watching Ben White this season in comparison to last season, you would have seen he's been slightly off it. There's been a couple of games, including the weekend, he's had a bit of a tough time with players that have been running at him with pace. And this seems to kind of, match what we've been seeing, and this whole operation thing, and the fact that he's needing this on his knee, because he hasn't been his sharpest in the games that we've seen so far this season. Now, we've known, and Mikel Arteta said this last season, that Ben White's been playing with this problem for quite a long time, but they've been managing it, but now it's reached the stage where they said, listen, he needs to get this operation done, and Ben White is going to be out of action. Now, ordinarily, we'd have quite a lot of cover in this area. Of course, Urian Timber, we know, can play as a right back, probably even better in the right back position than he is playing as a left back, because he's a naturally right-footed player. You've also, of course, got Takehiro Tomiyasu, who can play in that position as well. However, Takehiro Tomiyasu is out at the moment. We don't know when he's going to be coming back. He did come back and then he's been injured again and he's out of the team again. We've had Urian Timber playing, as I said, who can play in that position. But of course, we've had a problem over on the left-hand side, and he's been playing there. And Calafiori, who's nearing a comeback, and we've been told that he could be back just after the international break, but he's been out as well. So Timber's had to be going over to that side. And then we've had to be filling in on that side, with Thomas Partey, who done a great job against Liverpool, went in there as well against Newcastle, but is not a right back. And when he plays in that right back position, you don't get any overlaps. You don't get any, real dynamism down that right-hand side. So this will be a big blow to Arsenal. And of course, we know that Arsenal have already lost 2 games this season, 9 points off the top of the table. There's even fans out there saying that, listen, it's done, which I don't think it is. But certainly, to make up ground on Liverpool, we need to have everybody fit and firing, and we're going to be missing Ben White throughout that Christmas period. And he's going to be, not just the Christmas period, in December and the rest of November. And there's some big games within this period. The next game, after the international break, at home to Nottingham Forest, have been flying high. I know they lost to Newcastle at the weekend, but they've been flying high. Not an easy game. Usually you'd be looking on that game and saying standard 3 points at home, but not this occasion. That's going to be a really tough game. No Ben White for that game. Manchester United at home coming up very, very soon. Of course, Ruben Amorim taking over in charge of Manchester United. So we might see a different Man United. No Ben White for that game. Sporting Lisbon away. No Ben White for that game. So he's going to be missing some big and important games. And of course, we all know that the Christmas period is a busy time when you really need your squad. And, we're going to be without Ben White. And Ben White has been, you could say, a trusted lieutenant of Mikel Arteta ever since he came in at Arsenal. He's a player that Arteta loves, a player that Arteta trusts. and he will be very, upset that he's going to have him missing for this amount of time. But listen, sometimes with these type of injuries, where they keep, lingering and lingering and lingering, you have to do something about it, and you have to just say to yourself, right, now's the time. Let's get this operation done. It's an international break. That will take 2 weeks out of the recovery time. Get him back fit and rearing to go for the new year. But bad news for Arsenal. Ben White missing for the next 8 weeks if we are to go by all the reports that are out there. And that's just what's been predicted. We've seen in the past, we've been told that a player's going to be out for this amount of time, like especially at Arsenal, and it ends up being much longer. Hopefully that won't be the case with Ben White, but certainly a big, big miss for Arsenal. And the injuries are becoming a problem now with Arsenal. So many injuries to key players this season, key players. Ben White, as we were just talking about. We had Saka out for a few games. Really missed him. Martin Odegaard is only just returned. Remember, he's been out since August. Only just back in the team. Takehiro Tomiyasu. How many games has he played this season? 1? I mean, he came back from injury straight out again. These injuries are really starting to be a problem right now. And of course, in the last game against Chelsea, we saw, Declan Rice, have to come off injured. He's got this suspected broken toe. Saka came off injured. Mikel Arteta is going to be sweating on this and hoping that those guys are not, injured for that huge game now coming up against Nottingham Forest after the international break. A chance for Arsenal to get back on track, because despite what people are saying, with the season being done and all stuff like that, there are still 27 games to play, but now Arsenal starting to leave themselves in a position where they need to be almost perfect. They need to be winning game after game after game. So to do that, you need a settled squad, you need a stable squad. And that's one of the things that we had last year. We didn't get a lot of injuries last year, and we were more or less had a sort of stable team that played week in, week out. Guys like Odegaard, guys like Saka, guys like Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel. We haven't had that this season, and it has been a definite problem for Arsenal. So that's the breaking news today. Ben White will be out for the next 8 weeks. He's undergone some minor surgery to his knee to try and get him fit, fully fit. He's been playing with this injury for a very long time, and the club are hoping that this injury, will get him back on track and back to full fitness for that second half of the season, or should I say next year, running down to the end of the season. So that's the news today. It's not great news because he's a key player for Arsenal, but we're hoping that he gets well soon and returns fully fit. Thanks for watching the show. Don't forget to subscribe here to AFTV. Click the link in the description as well to get involved in all of our other content as well. But thanks for watching. But Ben White out for 8 weeks.